Hey there, how you doing? Charlie Winters here with 3 horse racing tips for York racers. Well, these selections are for Friday, so let's get stuck into it. So, it's a tricky card at York, but I'm going to have a bit of a go. The bet that some of you aren't really going to like, but I've gone for, sometimes in some of the races, I've actually chose more than one horse in the race. So this is what I've gone for. Then I've also chose a standard Lucky 15, and I've chose probably the more fancied horses, but I like the look of all of them. Every single horse that I've backed. So let me get into it. So I've staked £10 on the multiples bet. So it's 15 pence each way doubles, 10 pence each way fourfolds, 10 pence each way trebles, and a 20 pence each way fivefold. So let me talk you through it. So the first selection is in the 150 at York, paying 6 places instead of 4. The selection is Tolstoy at 22 to 1. This horse has dropped a huge amount in the ratings. I think 2 years ago it was rated 95 and it was trained by John Gosden. It's now trained by Brian Ellison, who is popping in the occasional winner. I think it will appreciate this step up in trip, and I think it's got a decent chance. I've never heard of the jockey. I think his name's Shay Farmer. Never heard of him, but it is an apprentice's race, so it could be interesting. It's the famous colours, the green with the brown braces, and I think it's got a chance. I do believe, I've also got another selection in that race in the other bet. So the next selection is in the 225 at York, paying 4 places instead of 3, and it's out for no at 28 to 1. Ollie Pears has got 3 in this race. I think this one has got a very good chance. A very good chance. I think it's got a sneak. I think 28 to 1 is too big. I do fancy another one of his selections, which I will tell you about shortly. But in the 225, I fancy out for no. I think there's more to come from it. I believe it ran at Southwell and then it ran a slightly better race over further. I think it'll prefer this drop back in trip, and I think it's got a sniff. The next selection is Mid Dream, My Dream, at 15 to 2 in the 3 o'clock at York, paying 4 places instead of 3. I backed this one twice. I've also had it in the main bet. It's got Jamie Spencer on board. I don't know if that's a positive or not. It basically needs to be an armchair ride, doesn't it, really? I think it's got a chance. I can't remember too much about it because I picked this one quite a while ago, but it's a strong fancy, and I think it's got a chance. The next selection is, I've gone for 2 in the race, and I can't split them. And I'll be honest, I've taken all the prices. I've probably robbed myself because it's probably better to leave them all to SP, because I think all these should be bigger prices. But I've taken them just for so you can see what the price range is really. So in the 10 past 4 at York, I've gone for Killybegs Warrior and I've gone for Old Harrovian. Killybegs Warrior, in my opinion, I think it's been set up for a race like this, a race like this, but it might not be this race, but I backed it. So the reason why I'm saying that is I think it wants like a galloping track with a long straight. It's run well here in the past. Its last 2 runs, one of them was at Chester. In my opinion, it will absolutely hate Chester because this is a big horse. This is a big Mark Johnson horse, or Mark and Charlie Johnson horse. I believe this horse won't have liked Chester last time. And I'm just trying to remember the other course. Was it Newmarket or no? It was Epsom. Sorry, Epsom was the last run it had, and it came last. I'm thinking. I believe you can genuinely believe that those 2 courses, if you're a big galloping horse, it can have you all over the place. Epsom's like a roller coaster, and Chester's like a dog track. So now it's back on a more galloping course. It should be very prominent. I think it's got a decent chance. Old Harrovian is a horse that ran well on good ground. Not last time, on its penultimate run. It ran okay on its return when it was favourite Well, I say okay on the figures, but I think it was like 10 of 16, but it was 9-4 favourite that day in a very warm Kempton handicap. So I think this horse could bounce back. Andrew Baldwin is always one to keep an eye on at York. A little bit like Jack Shannon, to be fair, but yeah. So the next bet is Paris Lights. Well, this is an interesting one because it's the main man. It's one of the best trainers training horses. It's Mr. Paul Midgley. Welcome to the room, Mr. Paul Midgley. So it's Paris Lights at 11-1 in the 4:45 at York, paying 5 places instead of 4. It's the handicap king, Paul Midgley. So this horse, I think, is crying out for this step up in trip. It's at York. It's for a prize more valuable than it normally runs for, which forget that because, well, don't forget that, bear that in mind, because I think a lot of these less valuable racers, a lot of the time, they are prep racers getting the handicap mark right for these more expensive races or more valuable races. And Paul Midgley is a master at that. We had a selection today, Enderman, won a cracker. I had a chance at winning. I think he came second in the end. So that is the each way doubles and whatever you. So I think I've slightly messed up. Yes, I have. So what it is, I've currently got a lucky 15. I'm going to change that into a lucky 31, and I'm going to do that now. So bear with me. So I'm going back to the 225 at York, and I'm putting in a selection, and I'll show you what it is. It ran behind a horse that I backed last time. So the horse is Inconspicuous. This is another Ollie Pear's horse, which I was talking about. So let me start in. So as you can see, the selections now are in the bet slip. I haven't got enough. I can't deposit again because as you're well aware, I lowered my limit. So I'll be putting this on in the morning. So once again, it's you decide what stakes you have. Keep them small. So it's probably going to be a 10 pence each way. Lucky 31, which comes to £6.20. Get rid of that. So the first selection in this bet is Mid-Dream at 15-2 in the 3 o'clock at York. In fact, I'm going to leave all the prices. The next selection is Killybeg's Warrior at 12-1 in the 4 at York. The next selection is Hectic at 13-2 in the 150 at York, paying 6 places instead of 4. So these selections in this bet are the more obvious selections based on form. The ones in the other bet, the multiples, where I've got strong sniffs from, if that makes it. I like the look of them, but there were bigger prices where I couldn't be confident they would run the race. These selections, these first 3, I would expect them to run the race. They're definitely around the places, I believe. The 4th selection, I can't ignore this selection, Life on the Rocks, at 5-1 in the 4:45 at York. The reason why, when these horses go on winning runs, it's like they never look like stopping. Well, the favourite is a Saib bin Saror. I think it's Saib bin Saror. It's definitely a Godolphin's horse. That horse could possibly laugh at these lot, the Godolphin horse. But I think it's trained by Richard Farhill, this selection, Life on the Rocks. And I saw it run the other day. Was it 3 or 5 days ago? And what it did, it just basically like skipped clear. Don't get wrong. I thought it would like tying up towards the end, but I think it's got more than enough to cause a lot of problems. And I do like these. I'm sure it's Richard Farley. I do like these kind of horses. It's not Richard Farley, it's Michael Dodds. But I do like it when they get momentum. I know it's going up in the weights and whatever, but I do like horses in form. I do think they can run well quite a lot of the time at York. And the final selection is one of the most interesting ones, but the price is probably too skinny. Inconspicuous in the 225 at York, paying 4 places instead of 3. This horse, for the beginning part of the race, I believe at Redcar, was absolutely clueless. It was being niggled along, not drastically, but it was being like niggled along, and the race was over. Then it couldn't get involved in the race. Then all of a sudden, with about a furlong and a half to go, the horse absolutely took off. It was 8-1 that day, so 9-1 in this better race. It's a bit dodgy, to be fair, but it's the same jockey on board, which is quite interesting. It was absolutely flying at the finish, and I know the reason why I noticed it quite so much is because I actually tipped the third place horse. It was a first time out 2-year-old by George Scott, and it was recommended on the channel. I think it came third at about 7-1, and we were guaranteed third, and it was just beginning to weaken our selection was at the time. And then I noticed Inconspicuous. Honestly, it was absolutely fine. It's worth looking at. It was at Redcar, so you can watch it on Racing TV. Just go to the search bar, type Inconspicuous in, and watch the race. I'm sure it was at Redcar, and you'll see exactly what I mean. So I've rabbited on for ages now. We're on 10 minutes. So any questions, put them in comments below, please. So the very best of luck. Charlie Winters, over and out. Cheers, mate.